in heart of Brisbane. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, as I said, let's welcome each and every one of you to this show. Well, let's have a quick look at what's happening outside. So, take a quick look at the weather that's looking wonderful out there. So, the forecast for rest of today is maximum of 24. Partly cloudy, chance of rain is 0%, zilch chance of rain, so no chance of rain today. Brisbane area will be partly cloudy, patchy fog early in the morning and mainly in the west. Light winds becoming southeasterly 15 to 20 kilometers in the middle of the day and then becoming light in the late afternoon. Fire danger is low to moderate, as I said before. Even though it is low and moderate, always take care, as we have seen before, what happened with all the bushfires. So, this is Australia. It's a dry country. We need to take extra care. Sun protection from now till about 1:30 p.m. With the UV rating still sitting at about 4, which is moderate. So that's good news to see that it is still holding on at 4 and it's not going on too much. So even though, you will ban, but you will not ban that quickly. So, still take care, as I've always mentioned. Well, right now, let's look at the coronavirus cases and the numbers up there. So, Australia, 7,333 confirmed cases. The recovery at 6,851 and deaths at 102. And worldwide, the confirmed death so far is 7.6 million, 7.69. It's creeping towards that age. So it's 7.69 million. And the recovery, they have stopped giving that numbers daily now. But the death toll stands at 428K. So that is quite a large number out there. So right now, the key points for today are, number one, the European nations begin to reopen borders. Tourists are slowly heading abroad. Yes, European nations have seized their borders control on Monday as coronavirus cases declined after 3 months of lockdown, with German tourists heading for Malcora and French bargain hunters streaming into Belgium to buy cheap cigarettes. So, and there has been a large number of people who have quickly started making their way. As you can see, Greek airports allowed more international flights as the country sought to salvage its summer season, while German tourists are flocking to the nearing Denmark, caused an 8-kilometer queue, and Italians popped into France to buy lottery scratch cards. Spain is initially allowing 1,500 holidaymakers from Germany as Madrid government works out how to handle the mass tourism before opening up for more fully in the coming weeks. Hundreds of German sun seekers and the first tourists visited Spain, and they've also arrived on the island of Mallorca on Monday. So it is good to see that things are opening up and people are moving back into the touristy areas, and the retail shops in England are going to open after our 83-day lockdown. So 83-day lockdown, what is it going to look like there, after they reopen? So after the reopening, long queues of shoppers is now snaked outside stores in England from early in Monday morning as non-essential shops reopened their doors after 83 days of lockdown. Department stores, clothing retailers, electrical outlets and bookshops were closed since March 23, when British Prime Minister Boris Johnson imposed a lockdown to limit the spread of coronavirus. While outdoor markets and car showrooms reopened on June 1st, Monday was the big return for business for retailers who were desperate to get tills ringing again. The reopening only applies to Scotland, Wales, and waiting for the guidance from the non-administration on when they can resume trading. Non-essential stores in Northern Ireland reopened on Friday. So they were up to date on Australian Indian radio. Now, the other news, well, if you look at other news, what's happening overseas, China holds salmon imports over suspected outbreak link. So, that import has been put on hold for the time being. As we know, China has halted imports from European salmon supplies amid fears that they may be linked to a coronavirus outbreak in Beijing market. Although experts say that fish itself is unlikely to carry the disease. Some papers have discovered on chopping boards used on imported salmon at Beijing's market may have something to do with the pandemic. The reports prompted major supermarkets in Beijing to remove salmon from their shelves. Genetic traces of the virus from Beijing market outbreak suggested it had come from Europe. So the blame game still goes on. And what's going to happen now in Singapore? Let's take a very quick look at Singapore. So Singapore is to remove all the restrictions on Friday. So what's going to happen? Singapore will allow small gatherings and reopening of restaurants and shops from June 19th, a major easing of the state's coronavirus restrictions. Social gatherings of 5 people will be permitted when the major activities resume with more than 2 months of restrictions dubbed circuit breaker. Singapore has one of the highest infection tallies in Asia with more than 40,000 cases of mass outbreaks in dormitories and its migrant workers. Singapore reopened schools with some businesses earlier this month. The government said on Monday that the incidence of cases in migrant work and dormitories had declined and there was no new large clusters. So that's a good news that there is no large new clusters because if you look at all the migrant workers, Singapore has always been a area where there have been lots of migrants who have come to work there and make the Singapore their working home. So, it is good to see that, those clusters have been broken and the dormitories and the migrant worker dormitories had declined and there was no large new clusters emerging. So that is wonderful news. Now, locally here, FDA revokes use of malaria drug to treat COVID-19. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is revoking its emergency authorization of malaria drugs prompted by President Donald Trump for treating COVID-19 amid growing evidence that they didn't work and would cause deadly side effects. So there is so much, coming from a president of a country. Oh my God. Okay, anyway, such is life and life goes on, but let's get back to our Brisbane and let's see what's happening right here. Right now we're going to be joined by our Premier as she brings us an update of what's happening right here locally in Queensland.
I thank Queenslanders for all the work that they've been doing, and it's an absolute testament to the great work that Queenslanders are doing. So keep up the social distancing and the hand hygiene. Starting from tomorrow, there will be allowed 100 people to attend a loved one's funeral. And I really want to thank the community for raising this issue. I know it's been very, very tough over the past few months, but in relation to that, and Dr. Young will give you a few more details, but we'll have to have a list of the names that attend in case anything does happen. But it's been something that people out in the community have been talking about, and it's something that we wanted to address very quickly.
No new cases in Queensland overnight, which is excellent news. So anyone from tomorrow can have a funeral with 100 mourners. They must keep a list of all of the people who attend with contact details so that if there were to be a case amongst that group of 100, our contact tracers can very quickly get hold of the other people. That's very important. But that is private information. So the organiser of the funeral, the person, the next of kin of the person who's died, needs to maintain that list and have it available. They will need to maintain it for 8 weeks. They do not need to show it to anyone unless someone in that group tests positive, and then they need to have it immediately available so that we can very, very quickly contact trace all of the people.
The restrictions we've had to enforce on funerals has been one of the hardest for us to implement. Our pathology services passed a significant milestone in the last 24-hour reporting period. We've now done more than 250,000 tests for COVID-19.
Yes, so many tests have been done, and it's wonderful to see that it's all under control, and it is wonderful to see. I know people have been complaining about the border, that our borders should have been opened, it's impacting on business. But look at the way we've managed, and the results do speak for itself. So, it is wonderful that it's been controlled, and it's been controlled in the way it has been. And it has been said that 100 people can now go to a funeral, but, the records will need to be kept. I know that even the hairdressers at this moment, I know people, what does he know about hairdressing? But, even hairdressers today have to keep a list of everyone who's visited the salon, and they need to maintain that list for at least 8 weeks should something happen. So it is all precautionary measures, and it is wonderful to see that everyone is abiding by the rules and regulations, as I've said before and many times, that if we don't, we'll have no one else but ourselves to blame if the restrictions do come back. Right now we've heard from our Premier, so let's hear from our Prime Minister on the road to the economic recovery, what it might look like. So he's speaking at this economic forum.
For the introduction, and it's very good to be here today. It's a pleasure to speak on CEDA's 60th anniversary. And can I acknowledge and pay my respects to the Ngunnawal people, to their elders past and present, and always importantly emerging, and can I acknowledge any serving members of our Defence Forces or any veterans who are here with us, which is my custom, and to simply say on behalf of a very grateful nation, thank you for your service. I of course acknowledge the Deputy Prime Minister Michael McCormack, the Treasurer Josh Frydenberg, and my Assistant Minister Ben Morton, who is also with us today. For 60 years, the Committee for Economic Development Australia has been part of the debates that have shaped the Australian economy. And now in 2020, facing the greatest economic challenge and shock our nation has seen since the Great Depression, CEDA is again well placed to inform the policies needed for Australia's recovery. CEDA's founder, Sir Douglas Copeland, spoke of chasing what he called the adventure of growth. It is a quest that I think aligns precisely with today's challenge as we look to recover from the health and economic crisis created by the COVID-19 pandemic. Today I want to share with you some further thoughts on where as a government we see the economy at this point in the COVID-19 crisis and the implications for the many decisions we will need to make in the months ahead. I also want to take the opportunity to focus on the role that infrastructure investment and deregulation will play in our JobMaker plan, building on my recent JobMaker announcements made here at the National Press Club some weeks ago on skills, on industrial relations, but also since on housing and construction and reform of federal decision-making and the Federation. Australia has shown incredible resilience in the face of our twin crises. We are saving lives and we are saving livelihoods. We've managed to do better than our fears and even our hopes. In Australia, our actions have limited COVID-19 infections to just over 7,000, fewer than 500 active cases today. And we've reduced our daily infection rate to less than 0.2% and even lower, from a peak of more than 25%. Sadly, of course, 102 Australians have died. Mercifully, this is a long way short of the predictions of hundreds of thousands of Australians contracting the virus, tens of thousands of deaths, and a health system in crisis. Our health response has been undoubtedly world-class, working together between states and territories and the Commonwealth, bettering those of similar developed and sophisticated economies around the world, as you can see from the chart looking at the comparison of COVID cases. But not just those large developed economies. We are one of a handful of countries that have achieved this level of success on the health front. And as you can see from this chart, it was not a foregone conclusion. As you can see, in the early days of the pandemic, as it hit Australia, you can see the line there sitting with all the other countries, all heading in one direction, to catastrophe. And then you've seen what Australia has been able to achieve, bettering not just a few countries, but frankly most of the countries around the world. This has saved lives. Our death rate of just 4 people per million of our population is a fraction of other developed economies around the world. And in some cases, their death rate is more than 100 times what Australia's is. Our response has followed a uniquely Australian path, as we promised it would, getting the balance right between our health and our economic objectives, as this new global stringency index demonstrates by comparison. Closing the borders, quarantining, building our health system capacity, social distancing, sensible restrictions, measured restrictions, and strong testing, tracing and local health response capabilities. And whereas other countries impose strict lockdowns, we have been able to keep large sectors of our economy open and functioning, including construction, manufacturing, agriculture, mining, as well as large parts of the retail sector, which were not closed. Now, this has not just yielded enviable health outcomes, as I've pointed out, but it has limited the economic impact of the COVID crisis and put us in a position to emerge more quickly and more strongly. The recent national accounts showed that the Australian economy shrunk by 0.3% in the March quarter. Now, while the damage to the economy is heartbreaking at that level, it has been far less than so many other countries, as you can see by the comparative performance on international growth across major developed economies. Looking forward, Australia is expected to have the 3rd lowest fall in GDP in 2020 of all economies surveyed by the OECD.
And that is wonderful news, the way Australia is performing. It is wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are streaming not only on Facebook Live, but also on, we are streaming also on the YouTube channel as well. So, if you get a chance, you have a look at that as well. And once again, thank you everyone for your wonderful comments and feedback. And all we can do is take that into account and see if we can make this stream a little bit more better as we go along. Now, just a while back, we were all talking about the bushfires. So bushfire support for recovering communities. Local communities are being offered up to 50,000 in grants to help rebuild and revive their community. CommBank bushfire recovery grants have already been awarded to more than 100 organisations across Australia, which is totalling about 3.5 million. So that was a wonderful news there for all the community organisations. I don't know if everyone was aware of this or not. So only 2 more weeks left to apply. Applications for the grant close on Tuesday, the 30th of June. So if you are a community organisation, find out about this. Later on today in a radio show, I will be interviewing Nathan from CommBank on this subject as well. Unfortunately, he could not join us on this live feed. So after our devastating fire season, local organisations are being offered up to 50,000 in grants from CommBank to rebuild and revive their facilities, infrastructure and services that they may continue to operate and support their community. With the ambition of an aid, the long-term recovery and part of the bank's broader bushfire appeal, CommBank bushfire recovery grants are likely and have been awarded to more than 100 organisations in Australia, totaling 3.5 million. So, there are many religious organizations, community organizations who might need or who could use this kind of funds to renovate and to repair all the things. So it is being offered so that they can revive their facilities, infrastructure and services. So it's a very good opportunity, and it's very good that CommBank is doing that. So community organizations, fire services and schools in bushfire affected areas are some of the organizations eligible to apply. Organizations must be, ready to implement community activities that aim to strengthen social connections, emotional well-being, and assist communities recover from bushfire. So these are some of the eligibility criteria. You can find all those out. Contact our office and we can put you into the right touch with the right people. CommBank has committed to donating up to 10 million to bushfire affected organizations through its bushfire recovery grants program. The applications for the grants close on 30th June, end of financial year. For further information, here's the website address, which is www.commbank.com.au/latest/bushfire appeal. So it's a wonderful initiative from CommBank, and I said Nathan will join us later on the radio show to discuss about all this, and we will play that interview at few occasions so that everyone's aware. It is a community awareness, and we have to make sure that our community, and especially those eligible organizations, are aware of the funds that's available to them, to those channels. I know applying can be, it's not easy. Filling in the grants application, it's never easy for community organizations finding time to do that, because everyone's working, everyone has got their own commitments as well. But if you are in community organizations for things like this, you do have to take some time out. So ladies and gentlemen, with that, let's take a very quick commercial break.
ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी 1989 से लेकर अब तक का विश्वसनीय और माननीय ब्रिस्बेन का रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है। उषा चंद्रा, जो कि ग्लोबनेट की डायरेक्टर है, अपने ग्राहकों को ईमानदार और एथिक सर्विसेज देती हैं। अगर आप ब्रिस्बेन की प्रॉपर्टी में पूंजी लगाना चाहते हैं और आप चाहते हैं कि आपकी प्रॉपर्टी को प्रोफेशनली मैनेज किया जाए, तो आप आज ही कांटेक्ट कीजिए उषा चंद्रा को। लैंडलाइन नंबर है 38654466 और मोबाइल नंबर है 0419775416। और आप प्रॉपर्टी की अधिक जानकारी और करंट अपडेट्स के लिए हमारी वेबसाइट पे लॉगिन कर सकते हैं। हमारी वेबसाइट है www.globnetreality.com.au। ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी आपका अपना लोकल रियल एस्टेट एजेंट है। हमारा पता है ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी, शॉप नंबर 5, 2281 सैंडगेट रोड, बुंदल, क्वींसलैंड। ग्लोबनेट रियलिटी, रियल एस्टेट इज अवर वर्ल्ड।
And definitely is as one of the longest standing agency in the area, serving the locals there for such a long time. It is wonderful to see that. Now, as I said before, that it is wonderful that CommBank is providing that community grants. Now, look, I know that not all organizations will be eligible, but if you are eligible and if you've got some facilities that you need to revive and there's some infrastructure that you need to put in place, look at it. At least look at the grant, find out about it, and see that if you are eligible and that you may like to apply for that. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, let's move to our upcoming events. Now, with the upcoming events, we have got quite a few upcoming events that are coming. And if you are on our mailing list, email list as well, our EDM, you would be receiving all these informations. But, to check out our website as well for all the upcoming events that are happening out there within our community. It is wonderful. And if you have an event that you'd like us to talk about, or to the showcase here on the program, we can quite happily do that. 21st June is International Yoga Day, And as we know that all the facilities are opening up for that, and community organizations such as Vedanta Society, NFICQ are planning on some yoga activities that will be taking part. But once again, please always do take care and make sure that all the precautionary measures are taken and put in place before we go and do that. One of the slides there is about the support that is available for all the counseling services that's available for people as well. As we know, mental health has been in the news lately, and we have seen so many incidents. I personally close by to us, but there is help available. We need to make sure that we reach out and utilize those services that are available to us. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a community service that we provide from here, is make sure that your event is included in our upcoming segment of the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'd encourage that if you have a function or an event that's happening, do contact us and we will gladly include that in the program. So once again, moving on with the show right now, let's look at India and what's happening in India. And after the break and with the lockdown, what's the economy looking like? What is it going to look like on the economic front? As we know, India is now on the top 4 countries in numbers-wise for coronavirus cases. It is not a good position to be in, but again, India has its own challenges. So, it is trying to manage the best it can. But once again, a country of that size and trying to implement all those rules and regulations. So let's have a quick look at the economic outlook for India.
In just a moment from now, I'll take you through the Corona India dashboard numbers. We've added some very important data sets to this over the weekend. So our programmers and I have been working throughout to try and explain the COVID story and where we are going as intensively as we possibly can. But before I do that, I want to show you what's happened in Chennai, which is reporting about 70% of Tamil Nadu's total COVID cases. The state government has decided to go in for an intense lockdown in the city and 3 neighboring districts. Tamil Nadu is the second worst affected state in the country, with cases nearing 45,000. The question is, should Delhi and Mumbai follow Chennai's lead as well? Here's our lead story tonight.
A complete lockdown in Chennai and 3 other districts of Tamil Nadu from 19th to 30th June. With Tamil Nadu being the second worst hit by coronavirus, the state government has tightened curbs. In Chennai, Kanchipuram, Chengalpattu and Tiruvallur, only essential services will be allowed. Grocery and vegetable and medical stores will be open from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Ration shops will be open between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Cabs and auto rickshaws will not be allowed. Hotels and restaurants can function from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. but only for takeout and deliveries. While tea shops won't be allowed. Amma canteens and community kitchens will operate as usual. There will be 33% workforce in government offices, and those living in containment zones will have to be at home. The state government is calling it a maximized restricted lockdown.
Almost 70% of Tamil Nadu's over 44,000 cases are from the state capital, Chennai alone. The city is going to see an intense lockdown with people being asked to buy essentials within a 2-kilometer radius. And on Sundays, there will not be any relaxations at all.
And other states too seem to be moving towards a relocking. Punjab government has announced a complete lockdown on weekends and on public holidays. It has also sealed its borders with interstate bus services to capital Chandigarh being suspended. The Madhya Pradesh government has decided to completely shut Bhopal on Saturdays and Sundays in view of an alarming rise in the number of coronavirus cases. But with over 41,000 cases, the capital Delhi has decided not to go for a lockdown so far. As Chennai relocks, the question is, will Mumbai and Delhi that continue to witness a daily surge also impose restrictions to contain the spread? Bureau Report, India Today.
And as I've said before, it is challenging for India, the CSIs and the infrastructure and everything. It makes it very, very hard to manage and put in a lot of rules and regulations that are easily implemented in Western countries. But again, hats off to everyone who's trying innovative ways and meeting those challenges on a day-to-day basis and managing the best that they can. Of course, there are always to's and pros and cons of any case, and every country is different, every government is different, but the whole thing is about humanitarian. So this is leaving politics aside, leaving party politics aside. Everyone needs to work together. Same as here, in Australia, when we have seen the local government, the state government, and the federal government, all three levels of government working together. They're leaving aside party politics in this incident and working together for that very, very common cause. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you with the blast from past. So we're going to 2011, January 5th and 6th, when we had the GoPio annual conference in New Delhi. And this was held at FICCI, which is the Federation of Indian Communities. Mr. Chanchal from London, the first panel. From Paris, our young youth delegation. I'm sitting next to Inderji. Unfortunately, Inderji is no more. He was the chairperson of GoPio International, one of the founding fathers of GoPio International. Sir Thomas Abraham, we saw him yesterday. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I need to say goodbye. It's been wonderful having your company once again, and until tomorrow, we will meet again. But don't forget, if you are a community organization, do apply for that grant with CommBank. It is very important that you get that in time. 30th June is the cutoff date. And of course, if you need any help, any assistance in relation to mental health issues, please do contact us. We'll put you into the touch with the right people there. So until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me.